Yeah. Hey, I remember syrup sandwich.
What is up, guys? Steve Giordano here with my main man, Orlando No Payne, No Gain. He is a brand new Hall of Fame producer, and we are honored today to have him on as our guest on the True Talk podcast. So, my man, Orlando, how you doing? Round of applause.
Thank you. Love it.
How are things, my man?
Things are awesome, man. I'm excited. I got my numbers. I'm Hall of Famer. Things are phenomenal. It was definitely, hard work, no question. But, man, I love what I do, period. I love what I do. It's changed my life. And, I'm looking for more things to come, so.
That's awesome. So, True Talk podcast, you've obviously watched them. I've watched them myself, probably one of my favorite podcasts because you really get to get deep into people's background. Right. We talk about anybody can do it, and we believe it, and it's great because you get to see everybody from every walk of life and all different things that they've done in their lives come here, have success, and really change their financial future. So, walk me through, young Orlando Payne. Where you started, where you were born, where you were brought up.
Young Orlando Payne. It's funny because I always dreamed of being in the Hall of Fame as a baseball player, But I finally made the Hall of Fame, but not as a baseball player, but as a, agent. But I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I've lived there for 15, 16 years. My mother sent me to Florida to go live with my cousins, because at the time, neighborhood was getting bad. It wasn't just a good. It wasn't a good, area. It was real tough, and a lot of my friends were getting into bad things. And she wanted that change of scenery, and I love her to death for doing that. Because I look back now, I was like, man, what would I have done if I was still, in that, environment? But she definitely, changed our lives for the better to do that. I didn't want to come over here. I kind of hated her for it at the time when she, sent me to Florida. I just leaving my friends from New York to come over here, but being able to meet new friends and, have a better opportunity, in life as a whole. But, once I got everything together, I was able to go to a boarding school. I went to a boarding school called Florida Air Academy. I wasn't a board. I didn't sleep there, but I was a day student. They actually recruited me to play baseball for the school. They, being that they were a boarding school, they had the opportunity to quote unquote, because in high school you really don't recruit, but you can. When it's a boarding school, they used to have these tryouts, and we were one of the best teams in the state of Florida. At the time, our team was always ranked 3A. But I was able to, go to Florida Air Academy, play baseball. Baseball was my life.
How old were you when you started playing?
Man, how old was I? I was probably 10 years old, 11 years old. And it was funny because my mother put me into, baseball team in Brooklyn, New York, in Starrett City. And then my grandfather would, take me to go practice. He would pitch the ball to me. Throw the balls. We will start practicing every Saturday. We will go to the, to the park where it was like a 5-minute walk. Get up, every Saturday morning to practice, and then from there it was just, I loved it, and I knew that's what I wanted to do, for the rest of my life. But boy, was I wrong. Plus I was, 50 pounds lighter, So, but yeah, that was my dream, play baseball.
So I'm going to go somewhere with this transition, but did you feel you were were you a very talented baseball player, or were you more the guy who had to really out hustle, really outwork to kind of get yourself ahead?
No, I always felt like I was better than a lot of players.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to work hard. I always knew that there's so many players out there, and everybody wants that. There's only a small percentage of players that actually do get drafted or are able to go to the major leagues, and that's even a smaller percentage. And if I'm not out working and out hustling, there's other people that are actually doing it. Especially there's people in Dominican Republic. That's their entire life.
Yeah.
They go to school to play baseball.
Right.
They do that 7 days a week. they might have a class to speak English, but no, other than that, they're practicing baseball. That's why, they're so good, because they incorporate that. They want to change their life. And this is how I kind of look at it too, selling, life insurance.
Right.
As a whole, you have to embed it in your life. It's like with anything. If you want to be the best, it has to become, part of you, I feel.
100%. So how old did you play until, like, how far did you get?
So I went to college. I started off at Miami-Dade. It was Wolfson, the downtown campus. I went there for 1 year. And then from there, I went to go play for a school at Barry University. And then I transferred. I went to a school called Trinity, and I went to back to Barry to get my degree. After I knew that baseball was done, I had gotten offered a contract to play in Mexico. It was an independent ball. Obviously I wasn't able to get drafted. And it kind of hurt me in a way, because I seen other players that I played with gotten drafted, and they got drafted in the higher rounds, like the second round, the third round. But that didn't happen, and I feel like everything happens for a reason, because my son is playing, and he's 30 times better ball player than I am. A lot more power. I was always good on D, and I had a strong arm. I would want people to try to run on me so I can just show off my arm and gun them out from the outfield. But yeah, my son definitely is. He's playing now, and that's the future.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if that doesn't work out, he can definitely do this, bring him into the business.
Right.
That's the goal.
So you're an outfielder, strong arm, more of a power guy, power hitter?
No, I was more of a 1-2 hitter.
Okay.
Because again, I was like 50 pounds lighter. I was always quick. I was more of a doubles guy, singles guy. For batting average. That's where my specialty was at. Getting on base and stealing bases. So
okay.
and I was really good at D. From the outfield, real good at D. That's what I took pride in.
So did you also have things like backup plans in the way of like business or college or just education and things you wanted to do, or was it total focused baseball?
So going into college, I knew computers was going to be the thing.
Yeah.
Right. And at that time, everything was computer science or CI, computer information systems. And I was able to, get my degree in computer science at Barry University. I initially started off with electrical engineering, but I just didn't like it. I didn't want to do that. So again, I knew computers was going to be the thing. So let's try it. At first it was, I was sitting down with a lot of people that used to program for as a youth, because their parents used to work these government jobs, and they had all the best of everything. And me barely starting to learn how to work an email. When emails first came out. I remember one time it was too funny where it was a soccer player. He played for Barry as well, and he had asked myself to send him an email. This is don't laugh. Wanted me to send him an email as an attachment, and this is when emails literally first came out. And I looked at him and I'm like, okay, I'll send it to you right now. And I was like, well, he's talking about an attachment. What the hell is an attachment? Well, how do you do it? I have no idea how to do it. And then he comes back, and I told him, man, can you just tell me how to send an attachment? I don't even know. But now, now I know how to handle myself, obviously. But I look back at that, and it was just too funny, how everybody evolves. So
yeah. So now, the baseball dream ended at a certain point. Like, what did that kind of, how far did it take you, and how did it really end and then get you back into kind of the real world, I guess?
So my wife at the time, she was pregnant with my son, and I was in my last year of college. I wasn't playing college ball anymore. I was still playing, the college was done. I was playing in a league in Miami, and the president of the league had, some connections in Mexico, and he had wanted me to go out there. But I think at that point, I was a little bit frustrated, because I felt like, man, I felt like I had too many chances for something to happen, and it never happened. Mm-hmm. And now where I knew I was like on the downside of things, and this was presented, And yes, I could have took it, but I told him no. Because I think at that point, I was just ready to start my life, and graduate and just start working. Just being in the corporate world and getting paid and help grow, raise my son. I was proud of that, and hopefully I can give him the same opportunity that my mother had given me. Just raise a family, and that's what it was all about.
Right.
Now it's not about me anymore. It's about him. Because he was up north when I was going to school out here. So he was already born, and the first 6 months he didn't even know me. Because I was in Miami, trying to get my degree. But once I had gotten my degree, we had moved back, and I just started life.
Wow. So you had to make a decision, and I think where I'm kind of going with all this is, we all have a journey, and we all have things that we learned. We all have, pitfalls in the road that took us to FFL and took us here. And I think that helps us. And as we go through your story here, we're going to kind of highlight that. It helps us kind of deal with some of the things that are, the things that are challenging, right? Life is not all, a box of chocolates, unless you're watching Forrest Gump.
Unless you're watching Forrest Gump.
Yeah, but, life in general, it's got its ups and downs. So now you make that decision. You get into corporate world. What was kind of like your first jobs, kind of coming out of baseball?
So coming out of college, it was 9/11 had happened, okay? And it was hard for me to get a job. I'm thinking that being I got a degree, I should be getting a job that's paying me $70 grand, because I had known some people that graduated a year before me, and they were getting, some of the Oracle jobs and some of the deep database jobs, and whatever their issue was, a specialty was, but that didn't happen. So a lot of the engineers, or a lot of the upper people that were a little bit more seasoned, were getting the entry level positions, because 9/11 had just happened, and they were laying off everybody, and they were taking all the entry level positions. So what I had to do was I had to start working contracting work. I would work 2 months at one company, 4 months at another company, to build up my resume, because I wasn't working in the summertime, because I was playing baseball in the summertime. I wasn't working any internships or anything like that. So I had to get that experience up and get my resume up. And I was fortunate to get I was working at Hewlett-Packard when I first moved to Massachusetts. And I was there for about a year and a half, and then they did a layoff. It was funny, because I was actually the last part of the layoff, because they did 3 layoffs. And then I was able to, stay there. But then they wound up just laying everybody else off, and plus it was still contracting work, and I learned a lot. And then, I transitioned into working with a lot of, startup companies, just doing proprietary software like tier 2 work, tier 3 work. And, that helped pay the bills. And that's where most of my money, was coming. And that's where I got paid the most from, 70, 80K, and up north in Massachusetts. It's okay. You're not rich by any means, but, you're able to live okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was there ever a point in all this and in your life in general prior to FFL where you said, I want to own my own business?
I definitely thought about it, but I didn't know. I 100% thought about it, but I think that there's a transition, or there's an initiative that you have to be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. I definitely wanted to own my own business, but I didn't know in what.
Yeah.
And I do feel like you have to, have like a secondary, something that you love, something that you like, and kind of just work on it, to the side first. And eventually, you gradually start getting better and better and better, till you feel like, hey, I can do this. Let's open up my own business doing this.
Yeah.
And I never had that. I just never had that. I wish I did. So
if I had to guess, probably like myself, I always felt like there was more for me. Like you're in a job, you're in something you went to school for.
There's something better.
Like there's always something missing.
Right. Always.
And I look at you and I'm like, that's probably exactly what. And I think most people go through that.
Right.
When you're the type of personality that like you are a hard worker and you can kind of outwork a lot of people, let's say,
1,000%.
you just feel like, you know what, I just need to be in the right scenario to harbor that.
Right.
100%
right. Yeah. And I always felt like that, because I feel like, sometimes, you're working, and again, not owning your own business is not for everyone. But I felt for me, working a 9 to 5, it was just, I felt like I worked my butt off, to make a certain amount of money, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it's like, even though I was getting paid 70, 80K, but I feel like I worked a lot of hours to be getting paid 200K.
Right.
And it was like, man, but, here we are.
This is true. So now as we, transition your story here and, getting you closer to FFL, you jumped in now, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, part-time.
Yes.
Because we're in, I swear, the months just kind of, they blow by. I can't even keep track anymore.
Yeah.
We're in December, right? So now this was 2 years around this time.
Yeah.
You working the full-time job, trying to transition out of that. What were some of your fears when you were getting going and looking to get started?
I think it was, just as pretty much the same fears everybody has, as far as, you're starting your own business. Is this going to work? If it doesn't work, what's going to happen? You don't want to go back to a 9 to 5 structured situation, and failing my family, failing, my kids, because they, because I'm sacrificing, they had to sacrifice too, but it pays off, it definitely pays off. And, just going through that grind, was just taking me back to that particular time, knowing that, man, if this doesn't work, what else am I going to do? And then when you're going out on the road and you're getting, a lot of those no's, at some time you're like, man, am I in the right business? Am I making the right decision? And I'll say this to anybody: if you just keep doing it, it's going to pay off. But you have to, put yourself in a right situation in terms of, the numbers. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
I'm not the best salesperson. I'm not the best talker. I've never sold insurance before. But I feel like I helped myself, and I recognize that, buying just a lot of leads, and setting myself up for success. And I remember one time when we first started talking, and I had just purchased 20 leads. That was my first 20 leads. And you're like, bro, that's not going to work. I'm like, it's not. He's like, no, man, you got to buy more leads. I'm like, okay. But yeah. I look at it now, and I can laugh about that now.
How many months were you part-time before going full-time? Was it 6?
It was a couple months, 6 months.
6 months? Okay.
6 months. And I first 2 months was rough. And I remember my very first appointment, all I had to do was just show the person a policy.
Right.
Because he took out his checkbook, and I screwed that up so bad. I screwed it up. We didn't have a signal, and he wanted to go in my car because he had just came out, and he was like, he didn't want to, have everybody know what he was doing. So I said, let's go in my car. But then at the time, I had a friend of mine who just moved in with me, and he had all his stuff in the car, so it looked like I was living out of my car. So I'm saying to myself, this guy probably thinks that I'm a bum because I have sheets in the back and clothes in the back, and that's the first thing he asks me, are you living out of your car? And I'm like, no, it's my friend, but I don't think he believed me. So
I remember you calling me with that, actually.
Do you really?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I had a friend of mine staying with me, and he stayed with me. It was supposed to be for a week, and he wound up staying with me for like 6 months, I think. 6 months to a year. Yeah.
You got him selling insurance.
Yeah, right. He's a chef. Yeah, but yeah, tough situation. But as far as not being able to sell, it got me a little bit more confidence, and I was able to break through that, because that was my biggest fear. Just what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What policy am I going to sell them? But you just got to do it. That's just, you just got to do it. Yeah. So
at what point in the part-time grind did it click for you? Because you were working a full-time job at the same time. You were really grinding it out and working probably 60 plus hours a week.
Oh yeah.
At what point did it click and you said, you know what, I can do this. I'm doing it. I'm making money, and I'm going to just go full force?
At what point did it click? I think that, once I stopped working at the call center, right? Because I got the quick job to help purchase the leads, and then I was offered the other job that was paying me around $60K. I think at that point, that's when it was really starting to come about, because now I have some income coming in, and I can put the numbers in my favor. Yeah. I have disposable. I have some disposable income where I can, purchase my leads, and if I happen to have a bad day, just buy more leads, and I'm putting the numbers in my favor. I think at that point, that's why it's so crucial for new agents, to come in and to be able to have that, that lead flow, because it's going to be tough the first couple, months. For some agents, for some people, it might not be, but for me it was. I wasn't an agent that was able to come in and have instant success. I had to fail a lot to be successful. So.
Yeah. Okay. How do you feel you were able, while failing, and you were selling, so it wasn't like you weren't selling.
Right.
It's just, we all look at failure. Hey, we want more always.
Right.
How did you keep your mind strong? How did you keep yourself going? I know, obviously, we've talked about no plan B.
Right.
What are some things that you did? Because I think that's big on a True Talk podcast to talk about, because everybody gets excited about, like, hey, this opportunity is amazing. I see all these numbers. I see all this stuff on Facebook. This is great.
Right.
But, like, it's not, I need the guy who's excited when, like, you had a bad day or you had, like, things didn't go your way. How did you keep your mind strong to kind of keep going?
Great question. There was a couple of things. Just being able to keep my mind strong, seeing all these other agents being successful. I knew this was going to work.
Yeah.
It had to have work. That was one. The second thing was, I'm telling everybody about this opportunity, but I knew that I had to be successful too as well. And I knew if I just, keep going, and, just like with anything, you're eventually going to run into something that's like, wow, okay, I got a lot more no's before I got yeses, but those yeses put a $2,000 deposit into my account, by just, you just got to keep going. You have to keep pushing. And I know it sounds cliche, but that's just what it is. There wasn't any plan B at all. And I didn't want to, tell my kids, oh, daddy's going to go into another business. And them asking me, oh, what about the life insurance? And no, we're not going to do that anymore. So that could not have happened at all. So that could not have happened. But, I had to fail a lot to be successful.
You've jumped in right away to door knocking, and we're not like above it. I think, look, a lot of people come into this, and look, in the perfect world, we would call everybody up, everybody'd answer, come over, they'd have milk and cookies, and that would be great, right? It's not reality.
Right, it's not.
There's going to be 5 out of 30 every week will probably do that, right?
Absolutely.
They'll send you a gift on the way home. But the reality is, if you're not getting the people you need to get, you got to get in front of them somehow. Absolutely. So, like, where did that click? Because I don't know if there's too many people that we have on our team or that I know in the company that door knock as much as you do on a consistent basis. So how did that click for you?
So I felt like I wasn't having enough success, and I understood that there's 30,000 other agents out there, and I do know that some of them say that they door knock, but they don't. So I felt like if I'm able to door knock, I'll be ahead of the game. And, knowing that if I can get myself in front of the client and just being able to get into the door, and being able to go inside the home, I'm ahead of the game. Yeah. I'm still going to get some no's, but again, I'm going to get a lot more yeses now because I am door knocking. And I know that they're probably getting. And a lot of these clients, they're getting so many calls. I've sat down in so many people's homes where the phone was ringing off the hook, and you know, they're like, you see, there's another telemarketer, you know, yada yada yada. I'm like, yeah, wow, that's crazy. That drives me crazy. Like, I understand. I understood that. So if I was able to get in front of them just to show them that I'm a live person, I'm not a telemarketer, I'm not a salesperson, you know, I'm gonna be ahead of the game. So it definitely worked. You know.
So safe to say, in my segue from before, a lot of the things you did in baseball, because you knew that there was some young kid in the Dominican who was literally playing baseball from the minute he woke up to the minute he went to bed.
1,000%.
You had to do things to outwork that guy and the other 30,000 agents,
Yes.
or however many
Yes.
in the area.
Yes, yes. You know, and I put myself in that situation, you know, that, you know, there's so many other people that are actually working, you know, really hard, you know, and I just can't be. I feel uncomfortable, you know, if I'm not working, you know, if I'm not involving myself, if I'm not doing something that has to do with the business or the company.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like somebody else has an up on me that's going to, you know, take advantage of the situation. So,
Yeah, no doubt. So now, you know, in homes and stuff like that, you know, you get going, didn't know anything about insurance, like just, you know, kind of trying to, you know, figure it out.
Right.
What are some of the things that you did early on to just try and convey the message to the clients you were sitting with to make sales? And like, how did that click for you?
Well, I had some experiences with other, you know, other clients that they had either a bad policy, or I seen how it affected them by not having, you know, a good policy, and it pretty much destroyed, you know, their lives. And I would take that, you know, some of my experiences with, you know, some of my old clients, and I would bring that into, you know, the in-home, and I would explain to them, you know, this guy that I sat down with, and I, you know, go into the year, you know, and I will explain to them, they had a, you know, a bad policy, and it, you know, the guy was hoping for $150,000 and he didn't get it. You know, his wife died because he had a bad policy, and others that didn't have a policy, they have to open up a GoFundMe page. You know, that can happen to any one of us. You know, you need a policy.
Yeah.
Even if it's, you know, it doesn't have to be $100. You know, we structure it to make it affordable. You know, and again, even if it's $20, you're still gonna get something. Let's get you in on something. You know, so you have something for your kids, you have something for, you know, your husband or your wife or whoever it is. But let's get you in on something. Okay, let's make sure you get approved first, and then, you know, after we get approved, now you have options. But we need to make sure you get approved before we can do anything else as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's good stuff. Like, you obviously learn stuff on the fly to try and, you know, get yourself moving, get yourself going.
Right.
What are some things that you've done in the way of like your in-home with like mortgage protection from early on to now to be better at closing? Because you've done, you know, Hall of Fame producer. You've sold, you've done about 650, almost 7 in 2 years, which is crazy. Like, if I would have told you, like, when you were playing baseball,
I wouldn't have believed.
if I would have told you that you wouldn't have been playing baseball and making that kind of money,
Right.
you'd have been like, what would I be doing?
What
like,
I'd be doing?
running Hewlett Packard? Like, I mean,
Selling life insurance? Absolutely.
Right,
not. You
right.
Crazy? No, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
so what are some of the, you know, little things that you did in the house to kind of take yourself to be a Hall of Fame producer in addition to the activity?
So, one, I gotta say that you helped me out a lot. You know, just speaking to you and seeing how you did things and structured, you know, your in-home. And I think for me, one of the keys was just informing the clients what they are. You know, I didn't want to come in as a salesperson, right? And I wanted to break that ice to be relatable. You know, because a lot of the times I feel like, you know, when I leave the home, you know, I get a lot of, you know, thank you, Orlando. You know, I'm comfortable and I'm happy with what I got, and I understand what I have, and yeah. I think that's key. You know, too many times where, you know, you might ask, you know, a client, or, you know, they have no policy. Well, what do you have? I think I have Joe Schmo Carrier, and I think I have 20,000, but they only have 5.
Yeah.
You know,
those are the best.
Those are the best, right? Those are the best. And that's happened a lot. So I try to explain to them, hey, this is what can happen if you don't, get it this particular policy. But you don't need to get the max. Start off, small, so you can always go up in the long run. Just get in. Let's just get you in. Let's get you covered. And then, if you want to go up, you can always go up.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you've done an amazing job. I mean, this year crushed it. You're gonna really touch upon 500,000, which is
that's the goal.
Not a lot of people are doing that. Which is really incredible. And I think you're amazing. And I'm really excited for this year, what you're going to do with your team. And I look forward to you doing True Talk podcasts with guys on your team that have amazing stories. Yes. So it's amazing working with you.
Yes, likewise.
And thank you for all you do. And guys, we will see you all at the convention in February, right down here in South Florida in Miami. Get registered today. Be well. Take care.